Podcast, your official English source for all things Olympiakos FC and Greek football.
The first day of training is when I realized, this is why they win the league every year.
When I spoke with Kevin, if I gonna sign or no for Olympiakos, I say, you are crazy, go direct, my friend.
Να πετύχω, ήθελα να μείνω στην ιστορία του Ολυμπιακού.
I can't speak, sure.
Yeah.
Έλα ρε μαλάκα!
Σ' αγαπώ πάρα πολύ, Πειραιάς. Είμαι Γάβρος πάντα, όλοι μαζί.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Gate 7 International Podcast. We have a very special guest and a very special episode tonight. We're going to be talking about Euro 2004, which has reached the 18-year anniversary. Kostas, I will pass it to you to introduce our guest tonight.
Well, thank you very much, Labro. So good to be here. This is an episode I've been looking forward to for a long time. Today marks the 18th anniversary of me pinching myself, still asking myself, did we actually do this? Did we actually win Euro 2004? And there's no one better to take us through this than the man with the best seat in the house at that time, Kostas Vernikos, a.k.a. the voice of Euro 2004. Kostas, thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
Pleasure to be with you.
The pleasure is all ours, and it is amazing. It's been 18 years already. We're still pinching ourselves, and this is the time where we go back and have a look at it. Labro, over to you, pal.
Yeah,
That means that I'm very old now. Eh?
You're not old. You're not old. It's like yesterday. It's always like yesterday these days.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess
I think that till the end of our life, it should be like yesterday. Even if there are 18, 28, 38, I don't know, 50 years, always it will be amazing. Always in our memories, it will remain minute by minute from the Portugal miracle, but not only in Portugal, from the beginning of this adventure, from 2002 until 4th July of 2004.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so I guess we'll start by just asking, what is the feeling you have every time this anniversary comes back on July 4th? What do you think is your favorite memory that may come back? Do you have one from the magical run that was Euro 2004?
Oof, good question, eh? And difficult to answer, believe me, because I can tell you now that I haven't seen the video after 2004. Never. I have the let's say the tape with the 6 different matches, the edition which is everywhere in the world now available to everyone. But I cannot see it again. I cannot. It was There are some people living with memories. I don't want to live with memories. I want to live the time, the minute, the moment, especially every moment. And 2004 was a big row of moments, unforgettable. And sometimes during this 18 years period, some nights I couldn't sleep. I started remember the names of the players by numbers. Number 1, Nikopolidis. Number 2, Seitaridis. Number 3, Venetidis. Number 4, Dabizas. Till the time I can sleep calm and easily. Yeah.
Incredible.
Amazing.
Yeah. Last time I did it was last week.
Maybe I should try it as well. Maybe I should give it a go. If I remember correctly, you were assigned with covering all of Greece's Euro 2004 qualifiers for ERT, and there were a lot of signs of what was coming. In my opinion, personally, it all started after that 1-0 victory over Spain. It was Otto Rehagel's first big scalp, and it was the game that silenced his critics that wanted him out. I remember Yannis Kirastas, the late great Yannis Kirastas, and his assistant Stratos Apostolakis were at the stands. You covered Greece during the dark times when it was ran by a bunch of outsiders instead of the manager, a period former EPO president Vasilis Gagatsis described as a traveling troupe.
The second point, the second night, the afternoon to be on exact, was in Saragossa. Saragossa, okay, I was there with the national team. It was a charter flight. Zaragoza is close to Barcelona. In Iberia, it was very, very hot time, summertime. Difficult situation for a commentator in a stadium which was not so modern, having special booths or something like that. It was a traditional Spanish stadium. I don't think that someone from the players, from the fans, from the coaching staff could believe before the match that we could win the Spain. Spain was and will be forever one of the most crucial power people in the football. And they approved that after 2004, 2008, 2010, 2012. They were dominators, not only in European, but in international, global level for football. But that day in Saragossa, the God was again over the Greek clouds. And this was the time Otto Rehhagel decided to make Giannakopoulos on a special movement in the field, because Giannakopoulos always was playing in the right place of the wing. At that time, if you remember the time of the goal, he was on the left side and he turned around to the middle and then scoring. One of the key decisions of Otto Rehhagel on a tactical way to change the wingers from the one side to the other side and make them not only making crosses, but shooting and decision pointers. After that, in the charter flight of the returning, there was a different feeling. You could smell it. That, okay, I'm not, after the end of the game, everybody can be a magician and knows everything, etc. Oh no, I cannot say that after Saragossa game, we could believe that Greek would be the champions in Europe, of course. But it was the changing minute of the mentality, of the approach to the game, of everything. In the coaching staff, medical staff, players, media people, all of them.
Yeah. No, it's a interesting point because our very long-time listeners will remember we interviewed Stelios about that, and he told us that he didn't want to actually play on the left. He was quite surprised, I think, a bit upset. He was, how is this going to work? I always play on the right. So it's an interesting story how he worked out, how he wasn't so happy about it, but he told us he trusts the coach, and it ended up being one of the key turning points for Euro 2004, you could say. So it's really interesting.
Sure.
Yeah. So I guess we could jump into Otto Rehhagel when
let me ask you, both of you, what did you do at that night in Saragossa? Where you were and what did you do?
Well, I was at home in my watching it by myself. My family is not a football loving. They're not football fans. I'm the only football fan in the family, so I was watching the game alone. And I was just expecting Spain, to destroy us, to annihilate us. And when that happened, that's when I believed we are going through. And looking back at it, like I said, that's the game where the Piratico took off. Some people say England, but that was the game where the Piratico was really bored. And allow me to introduce you to our other member of Gate 7 International. This is Costa Levogianni. Costa, to another Costa. How are you, my friend?
Kalispera. Oh my God, we have three Costadinos now, don't we? I'm normally Costa with the C, there's Costa with the K, and now we have a very honorable guest. I'm sorry to be late. I took some time putting the kids down to bed, but I could not miss this discussion because I was actually at two of the games in Portugal, including the final. So very excited to have this opportunity to be part of the discussion. It's a real honor for us to have you on the show. So thanks. And sorry to be late. Continue, guys. I'll jump in.
Well, he asked us a question. Where were you guys in Zaragoza at that night in Zaragoza?
I was watching the game at home with my dad in London. I mean, at the time, obviously, we had absolutely no idea the significance of that game and Stelios's goal. And as Mr. Vernikos was just saying, I mean, that's pretty much kind of massive turning point for the national team in terms of actually getting us one step closer to the Euro, because we had to beat Ireland, didn't we?
Northern Ireland.
Northern Ireland in the last game.
Yeah.
But, I'm sure we'll get to this later on in the discussion. We can ask ourselves the question, like, where were you when we won it? Or where were you when we played the French? And which game was the turning point in the Euro? And I'm sorry, I'm going off script now. What was the turning point for you? I think when do you think you realized that we can actually go on to win this thing? Because I'll tell you my story, because I went to two games. I went to the France game and I went to the final. At the France game, I felt like I was just a tourist, there for a good time. We're playing against the best team in the world at the time. I think they were the world champions, if I remember correctly. And we beat them, and I always say to my friends, I remember that game. That game had more of an impact on me than the final itself. Because when I got to the final, I was confident that we were going to win. But that was my feeling. So the France game for me is something I will never forget. Obviously the final too, but that for me was when I thought, wow, we can actually, it's meant to be.
Okay. Before going to the Portugal, let me add another point for the qualification round, because as you remember very well, it was not only the qualification round in the history of Greek athlete at that time, it was also the preparation period for the Olympic Games. And this was very important for the Greek national team because, first of all, Karaiskaki Stadium was not existing. It was demolished and starting to rebuild from the scratch. And at the same time, the Olympic Stadium was not in use because we were trying to create the Calatrava project and everything to be ready for the opening ceremony and the Olympic Games in Athens. So the national team used the stadium of Panathinaikos in Apostolos Nikolaidis. And in the beginning, it was not so full, sold out in all games. But after Zaragoza and going to the last games with Ireland, everybody was in the stadium. I don't want to make any comparison with the games of national team today or the last time in the Olympic Stadium or in other stadiums. But at that time, Stadium Apostolos Nikolaidis was sold out in all national team games as we were going towards Portugal. And now we are going to Portugal. Okay, we won 2 times Portugal, but now it seems to be easy. It was not. Do you remember who won the Champions League at 2004? Porto with Mourinho. Porto was the #1 club in Europe, and the majority of the players of Porto were Portuguese national team players. The base of the team, of the national team. And they won Champions League. And the previous year or the next, I don't remember well, the Europa League or something like that.
The previous, yeah. Mourinho did a little Europa League and then Champions League.
Right. And we went there to play against Portugal in their home, Dragao. Okay. The main target, because we cannot forget what happened in the United States, was just to score one goal.
Yep.
Because having gone to United States World Cup 10-0,
It was 10
4-0,
goals.
4-0, 2-0 in 3 games. Another big competition, another European at that time, not world competition like Euro. And the first target was to score. We need only 10 minutes to do that.
Yep.
10 or 11, I don't remember well, with Yorgos Karagounis when he decided to score against Portugal. Okay, we did it. Minute by minute, as we were going to the end of first half, we were questioned by ourselves. Can we do it or not? The majority said, okay, we started well, but it's long time till the end of the match. Ronaldo, the other players. But suddenly, 0-2. Unexpected. Miracle. I don't remember how it was in the commentary position. Dragao was a very huge stadium and we were in the top of the stadium, but having a good view. Yannis Daras, remember the reporter of ERT, was in the field of play and he was giving us all information from the Greek bench and the reactions of there. As the time was passing and we were towards the final, suddenly Ronaldo was scoring 2-1.
Yeah.
It was only 1 or 2 minutes, if I remember well.
It was late.
Yeah, very late. But we felt very anxious. We've seen so many different matches in a top level. Do you remember the last match in Bernabeu during Champions League this season? Real Madrid against
Man City, was
Chelsea
it?
or Manchester City. What happened in the last
Man
minutes?
City. Yes, Rodrigo. You were there. You were calling that game.
Yes, I was there. I was very lucky. I'm very lucky at that to be there. But first match, 3 points. The best starting result for the tournament. The administration of ERT did my itinerary, and I was planning to be there 3 days before the kickoff of the first match and be back in Athens after the third match of the group stage. Because to be honest, everyone believed that, okay, 3 matches, it's enough. Be back. Second match, Stadium Bessa in the same city, Porto. And I remember that there's another point you can add in the discussion to understand how Greek people in the beginning couldn't believe that we could do a successful result in the tournament. I was alone in the first match as a commentator. Only myself and Yannis Daras.
And then it was
The second
Mr.
match,
Makaros who joined.
yes, the second match I was not alone. Nikos was coming and we did together the broadcast of the game against Spain. Tough match. Morientes, in the beginning, did everything he would like to do in our defense. But at the end, it was 1-1.
Yep.
1-1. So we played in the area of Iberia against the 2 countries, Portugal and Spain, dominators in the European football, traditionally, and we got 4 points.
Yep.
3 + 1.
Yes, it was amazing. And we're going to get to the Russia game because we do have questions for all the matches, actually. But obviously, you cannot explain the miracle of Euro 2004 without, bringing up Otto Rehhagel. And I think Labro has a very good point, a very good question about that. Don't you, Labro?
Yeah, I was just wondering, kind of, if you can give us some background into Otto Rehhagel, because something we were discussing when we were thinking about Euro 2004, but also asking questions, was the background of Otto Rehhagel and how good of a coach he was in the Bundesliga. I think he was one of the most winning coaches in the history of the Bundesliga, has some of the most wins. And he also had a miracle in the Bundesliga. I think, he won the, yeah, as we all know, the names.
He won 3 Bundesligas. One of them was a miracle with Kaiserslautern, who he brought from the second division to the Bundesliga.
Exactly.
And we basically want to know how you experienced Otto Rehhagel in the tournament.
The most appropriate person to answer to this question is Yannis Daras, because he was very close to Otto Rehhagel. He was very close to the dressing room of the Greek national team. He was watching all press conferences, the preparation time. He was with the national team in the training session in Switzerland and Liechtenstein, if I remember well. They did the preparation before traveling to Portugal. And in another meeting, maybe he could explain to you much better how Otto did that. I know that after 2010 and during the Merkel period and the whole memorandum and happened in the Greek economy, the majority of the Greek people was hating everything concerning and affected with Germany, except Otto Rehhagel. He is the most loved German guy in Greece. I think that, and I think he also mentioned it sometimes, he's not a German, he's a Greek. He's a Greek hero with a German name. He did something very simple. Because before the tournament, everybody, from the media point of view, from the fans, other coaches, everybody was criticized very strong the national team. We had so many losing games, 1-5. And then, as always happen in the Greek mentalities, come the catastrophe and disaster for everything. All players are useless. They get the money without any value with that, and everything in the big titles in newspapers. And then Otto Rehhagel did a meeting with the players, and he said very simple words. Everybody is very critical against all of us. We have 2 options. The first one is to resign and go home, and the second one is to fight, but to fight as a team, not as individuals. Because in the history of Greek football, we had many talented players playing as individuals very well, but never as a team. That was the first time Otto Rehhagel convinced the players to play together as a team. All for one for all, and all for one. And we've seen that in the field of play very, very often, watching players not in their position. Katsouranis in several tactical roles in the field of play. Seitaridis, not only as a right fullback, but sometimes having mark.
Center back.
Yes, tough players. Kapsis against the Czech giant of 2 meters, Koller.
Jan Koller.
Yeah, so many times. And the one close to the other, covering space, tactically, very close the one to the other. And okay, we can discuss so many times about the tactical, if it was a good team or not a good team, the performance, the show, well or not, or offensive or defensive or so many. But the key point for Otto Rehhagel was the mentality, the mind game with the players, how he could convince them to believe that they can beat Zinedine Zidane and the other stars of the French team. And they did it.
Yep.
Sometimes in the past, very good fellow players from the Greek national teams told us that, we went play against, let's say, England, and we would like an autograph from David Beckham or someone else, or Gerd Müller in Germany. No, Otto Rehhagel told them, we will beat them. They will come to ask autograph from you. Yes, and they did it. And they did it very well.
I think there's a story that came out as well about Rehhagel speaking with Seitaridis before the first game against Portugal, and I think he grabbed Seitaridis and he said to him, everybody's talking about Ronaldo at the beginning of this game, but by the end of this game, everybody's going to be talking about you. So he had a great way of getting into the head of the players. And
actually, Ronaldo had an interview. Ronaldo had an interview before the game, and they asked him, "Do you know which player are you most afraid of from Greece?" And he said, "I don't know any one of them." And Rehhagel said, "Ronaldo doesn't know any one of you." And he went to Seitaridis because he was going to mark him, and he said, "After this, no one's going to be talking about Ronaldo. Everybody's going to be talking about all of you."
Yep, it's true. It's true. After that, no, I think Ronaldo. Maybe until today he can remember some of them.
I seem to remember someone crying at that final. I'm not too sure who it was. I'll have another look afterwards. But I spoke to Yorgos Karagounis last year, and he told me Greece dealt with various disadvantages compared to their bigger. Sorry.
But sorry, not to say anything against Ronaldo. Ronaldo is is a lover of Greece, of the country. He's coming very often in Greece for holidays, in Peloponnese, with his family, everything. He's a very, very nice man out of the field of play. And after that, don't forget that he was very young. After that,
17,
his career went to the stars.
Yeah, he was very young indeed.
Amazing player.
Incredible player. I spoke to Karagounis last year, and he told me about major disadvantages Greece had compared to their bigger, richer, and more entitled opponents. He told me that the players had to find local gyms in the area to work out because that wasn't available to them. What kind of other disadvantages did you notice?
Nothing.
You didn't.
In comparison with the situation of the Greek football before, then, or after the tournament.
That's interesting.
They were working hard. The training under their teams was till the end of the Greek championship, and then all of them went to Switzerland for training. It was not only Otto Rehhagel, it was the whole structure and the team. The assistant, Greek one.
Yannis Topalidis.
Yes. The assistant was not only the tactical assistant, but the translator, talking to the players what Otto Rehhagel would like to tell them. And I think that sometimes the translation was not exactly what Otto said. I think that Topalidis did the best according to the time and to the stressful period they had to face, especially before the match in the dressing room or during the actions and anything else they would like to tell. Also the medical staff. The medical staff and the physio and the gym and everything. In the past, I cannot remember how many times I hear that, they play in Premier League they can run 200 minutes. They are playing in the Greek champions, and they maybe run very fast for 45 minutes, and then they collapse, and that's all. Do you remember what happened in the extra time against Czech?
Yeah.
It was a very tough 90 minutes game, but for the next 15 minutes of the first and last half of the extra time, Greece was the dominator in the field of play.
Mm-hmm.
And Greek players running better and stable in the stadium in comparison with the Czech. Physical condition, much better. For the first time in history of the Greek football.
And for our younger fans, because we do have a lot of young viewers, something about Topalidis' translation, it's not that it was inaccurate, it's that Rehagel would be tough on a player and would tell him, you were terrible, and Topalidis would ease it down. He would say, listen, you did that, we did not like it, next time do it like that. He wouldn't tell him in Greek, you're terrible. He would ease it up. That was the genius of Yannis Topalidis.
Yes.
It was like a cultural translator, wasn't it, basically?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Saying, basically taking the meaning, but giving it in from German into Greek. It's like, okay, this is how I'm going to say something to a Greek. So it's very emotionally
true. Costa?
I was going to say that I'm just because I was born in England. I grew up in London, so you can imagine. You know what English.
Which is your favorite team?
I'm a Tottenham fan in England.
Not Nottingham.
Well, we have some like for Nottingham Forest the last couple of years for reasons related to our number one love, which is Olympiakos. But I think I'm a Tottenham fan because we win too much in Greece. So I thought I'm going to support a team in England that maybe isn't so prolific. But anyway, what did I want to say? In England, like a big part of the fan base, they never seem to just give credit where credit's due. There was a lot of talk about there were headlines like for football, Portugal should win, or just a lot of negativity about Greece. Oh, this is what I wanted to say. One of the excuses about the Czech Republic game was that the Greek players, they don't play in their teams. Like Karagunis wasn't a starter at Inter, or a lot of the players that played abroad, they weren't starters for their team. So there were these excuses, like in England and even in Greece, that the team was so physically prepared because the players, apparently, they hadn't been playing for their teams as much as the Czechs had been playing in their clubs. Like, what do you say to that?
Look, it is very technical question. I'm not an expert on that, and I don't want to be expert in something I'm not. So I don't avoid to answer, but maybe someone else could tell it better than me. But if we want to stay and be honest in this game, the crucial point of this game was the injury time of Nedved.
Yeah.
Very early, I think before the 20 minutes of the match. And in the previous 15 minutes, Czech national team was dominating in the field of play. Having this maestro Nedved doing everything, and as a tempo maker, as a playmaker, he did everything in the team. But suddenly, he was injured. At that time, there were many people in Greece, in the stadium, their house, in the country, abroad, that they were thinking the same. And you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. Somebody says, oh, God is with Greece.
Thank you, Costa Katsouranis, for taking him out.
No.
He did a very good job marking him, actually. Yeah, Costa,
no, we cannot say that even as a joke, because Kostas is a very good player and one of the clean players without, let's say, dirty motions in the field of play. It was a very unlucky time for this great player, Pavel Nedved, and very lucky for the Greek national team. Very, very lucky moment for us. Because even if you are the number one, not only in football, in business, in everything, without the feeling of lucky time, you cannot do anything.
Yeah.
Okay, we have to work hard, but sometimes you need that. And this is the reason because the majority of the stars, not only in Greece, but anywhere in sports planet, are very superstitious. Very superstitious. And not only the owners, coaches, players, everyone. Because they know that they can play excellent, but they cannot score. Or otherwise, maybe it's a very bad day, but from a triangle, they can score and that's all.
But before we got to people calling us, anti-football and etc., there was a lot. They underestimated us a lot. I remember Karagounis saying that Christian Vieri at Inter would tease him, telling we're going to concede 4 goals from Portugal, 4 goals from Spain, and maybe just 2 from Russia. Takis Fisas, who played for Benfica at the time, he told his teammates that no one even acknowledged us. What do you remember everyone in Portugal saying about us when you arrived before the first game with Portugal?
Before the first match?
Yeah, what were they saying about us? What were you hearing about us?
The majority of the Portuguese media were ready for a triumph after the kickoff, and the best starting for conquering the tournament, starting very well, and then they thought, having Porto in their mind as a champions of Europe, a Portuguese club is a Champions League winner, national team now will be the winner of European competition. They thought that they could win Greek team easy. In sports, the worst thing is to underestimate the opponent, and they did it. Big mistake. Huge mistake. You never underestimate anyone in the life.
Absolutely.
Yep. So simple.
Yeah. No, it was a good point. It was a good point.
Lambros, what do you think?
Yeah, now it's my turn to ask. Actually, I should say too, I was 6 years old when this happened, so I need to be real honest. I'm not gonna be like, I was 6. I was 6 years old. I'm 24 years old. I'm 24 years old, so I'm not gonna be like I was on my couch and I was ready. But I was
older than me.
I was in Athens though during the 6 years old. What can you remember exactly? But
you were in Athens.
I was, yeah, I was there, and I remember watching the games, and I remember how quiet was on the street. Like where we stay is in Pagrati, on a main road near Pagrati, and the road is always full, taxi drivers honking, the normal, right? Any main street in Athens, and it was dead quiet. There was you couldn't hear anything, and then you would hear your commentary, but then if a goal went in, the street blew up. Like it was incredible. I don't know. I'd never experienced anything like that where you're sitting in your own home and everyone is doing the same thing in every house. So that's
you were in
point.
Athens. You were in Athens on 4th of July?
Not the 4th of July, a week or two prior. I wasn't there for the final.
No one of you were in Athens then.
I was.
You were there.
For the
so
whole
you are
thing.
the best. You are the best to describe us what happened after the final, because I haven't lived that. I was in Portugal. I heard so many things, but I don't know what happened.
Well, we're going to get to that, but Labro touched on your commentary.
We can talk about that, but I wanted to ask about your commentary, because one thing I do remember was how vivid it was. It was like almost a fan was giving the commentary. You know, it would be like if I was in the Kariskaki giving the Olympiakos commentary. Maybe I would have sworn a bit more if someone missed a pass or something. But your commentary was so vivid. You know, it was like almost the emotions everyone else was feeling. And how did that come to you? Do you remember ever commentating on something in a similar fashion than those games then?
It was a difficult question to answer before the game, before the tournament, because until then, the majority of the commentators, the respectful commentators from the history of the Greek television, were very keen to be, let's say, completely independent on every team, especially in the Greek championship, but also during the national team and the big events. From the other side, it was not another time in the past giving you the point to celebrate, because Greek national team haven't in the past any positive top level games in the history. That was the moment. And the question was, what can we do now? Using the traditional style of commentating or not? And the answer was automatically happen in the stadium, because I decided not to be a fan in the stadium, but to make people living in London or in Athens or in Melbourne or anywhere else to spend the time on the best way. Like one of them. What did you do if you was in my position? I think the same.
Yeah, no, you can't. There's no other. Also, it's not like your favorite football team or something. It's your country. Are you going to be
Yeah,
neutral against the Czech Republic? What? It makes
yeah,
no sense. Honestly, it makes no sense.
really, really.
I don't know. I agree completely. I don't think anyone would do anything else.
The difficult time for us was in the beginning. As you mentioned before, in the final, everybody was fully confident that we could win. No stress, nothing at all, believe me. Nothing.
How?
Just waiting the 60-something minute. We knew how it could pass the time, okay? Defended well, no chances to the opponent, and then someone, maybe Charisteas, maybe someone else, would score and win the game.
Can you, like you mentioned, I mean, you were there for 3 games. The tickets that they bought for you from ERT, they were for the first 3 games, and then you were going back to Greece.
Yes.
We all know how it panned out, and it probably ruined your holiday plans. But the question I wanted to ask you was, if you can describe like 3 words, or like, you know, what are the words that come to your mind in terms of the emotions that you were feeling? Because you were, I mean, we're talking about your commentary. So you're commentating and the emotions are just going absolutely crazy. You're there the first game, beating Portugal, and then the Iberian rivals in Spain, like you said. Like, can you put it into words? Like 1, 2, like 3 words. Emotions. What emotions are going through your head when you're commentating? Like, is it disbelief? Is it euphoria? What was it for you?
Difficult to describe by words in any language. Yes. Yes. I was coming back to Greece after the 3rd match. The day after the match, first of all, I don't want to forget the 3rd match, the only one losing. for two reasons. The first one is that in the tribune of the stadium in Algarve, south coastal zone of Portugal, in the tribune, the fans of the tribune were the most beautiful I ever seen in a stadium. Russian and Greek women in the stadium. The majority of them, because they were in the south of Portugal, as you know, they are traveling so many people in the past and even now, and they were in all Faro, Algarve region there, and all of them went to the stadium. I don't think that there was ticketing problem because Russian and Greece playing in Portugal, you never have a problem, especially when the stadium is in the middle of nowhere. Portuguese government did a construction of a stadium. I don't know why, in the middle of nowhere. I don't know what happened there now because there's no football team close to the stadium, nothing at all. But in the stadium, it was difficult to watch the game because so many beautiful people in the tribune. But I will never forget in my life 87 minutes of this game. The score was 2-1 for Russia, enough to qualify. But if the score should be 3-1, next day we can get the plane traveling back to Greece. And I don't know if you remember this minute, 87 minute, having the cross from the right side of the stadium, and the ball was passing in front and between so many Greek and Russian players. If one of them could touch the ball, it should be in the net. But nobody touched the ball. And then, oof. You remember that?
I do.
For me, it was the most crucial minute of the tournament. 87, 2-1. If you have the video, watch again.
I mean, that was a scary game because you thought we'd done the difficult job in the first two games. You're absolutely right, and then you're there, and until Vrizas, I think, scored the goal. Until Vrizas
before
scored
the end of the first half, yeah.
And we were going out. I mean, the other game was in parallel, but like you said, it was scary. It was scary to think what could have happened. Absolutely, I don't remember that specific incident though, but I think we were all biting our nails, and we didn't have any left by the end of that game.
Convinced you that we're winning this, if there was such a game?
France. Match against France. Without any doubt, it was the most specific game, and it's if you can win the champions of Europe, the team of Zidane, Makelele, Henry, Barthez, you can win everything.
That's kind of goes back to my rant at the beginning off script about the France game. I celebrated that Charisteas goal more than I did in the final. But there's another story to that, because in the final, again, I was with my dad, and at the beginning of the Portugal game, he says to me, I was 18 at the time. He says to me, "To carάβι έρχεται προς τα εμάς." So the boat's coming towards us. It's like, that's a good, it's a sign, a positive sign. And I was already confident. I thought, we've got this far. Like, this is going to happen. It's meant to be. But right before the corner, was it Basinas goes to take the corner after Seitarides wins the corner?
Yeah.
And before Basinas even takes it, my dad does one of those things where he goes, "And I mean then." And then he crosses the ball in, and goal goes in, and then I'm just there like this. I didn't scream, I didn't celebrate, didn't anything. I just sat there, and I looked at my dad, and then I looked at the pitch and looked around me and everything that was going on. And I just couldn't believe it. But yeah, I completely agree. Like for me, the France game was absolutely turning point. Where in terms of like that feeling that we can go on to win this, we just beat France, and I think I was wrong. They lost to Italy in the end, didn't they, in 2002? But still, like you said, Zidane, Henry, Vieira, Petit, Lizarazu, Sagno, Barthez. They had Viltord come on. It was a ridiculous team that we beat.
What can I say? If I haven't watched, as I told you before, the whole video of all the games, but I've seen many times against Czech. Not only your father, but everyone in the stadium, and maybe everyone all over the world watching the Greek game and supporting the Greek team was thinking exactly the same. Να μπαινε ένα γκολ τώρα να φύγουμε. I don't know how to describe that, but it was the positive energy, the aura of all these people, because at the same time, all people were thinking the same thing. 105 minutes, last minute of the first half of extra time, and it was so, let's say, desirable because of the moment. We would like to finish the match at this time because the Czech team was excellent. And maybe everybody thought the same. If we can play other 15 minutes, maybe they could equalize or they could win us. But now it's the time. Let's score and go on. And that happened. That's life. That's the momentum. That's maybe, I don't know. What do you think of that?
To me, the Czech Republic game was the one that convinced me we were winning the title because, yeah, France was one game, but the Czech Republic were so good. Pavel Nedved was incredible. And afterwards, we got Portugal instead of the Netherlands, who beat us 4-0 in a friendly before the Euros. So I thought to myself, it's happening. That was the turning point for me. That's when I was convinced we're winning this.
After the Czech, not after the France.
No, it was after the Czech Republic. I thought the Czech Republic would beat us, but after that victory, even after Nedved got injured, I wasn't convinced we were going to eliminate them. But after that, I was convinced. That was the only match I knew we were going to win. Euro 2004 was Portugal at the final.
Okay, I respect it.
No, but it's very interesting that it was France, the game that you thought we were going to win, and I was wondering. Since there was confidence within you that we're going to win this, were you planning on delivering any lines on your commentary, like "Στον έβδομο ουρανό αδέρφια"? Was that something that you planned, or did you just leave everything?
No, nothing at all. I've never planned anything. The only one we are doing, and I'm doing in every match I can commentate, is the pre-match, let's say, introduction. From 3 minutes before the kickoff until the kickoff time. After that, there is no plan at all. No. You cannot make the plan. For me, I don't know what others are doing, but everything was coming at the moment. Nothing written, nothing pre-scheduled, nothing at all.
Yeah. And I got to ask you, like when after full time in the final, Greece were officially the European champions. And that was an outrageous statement that you had tell us that Greece, the absolute underdog, were the European champions. What was going through your mind? What you were the one that had to talk to us and tell us what's happening. How were you feeling? What was going through your mind?
You cannot think something like that at that time. At that time, you are living the moment, together with the fans, together with the players, together with everyone. And you can say the first thing is coming to your mind. And the first thing was coming to my mind was that this was the summer of Greek, the summer of Greek sports, the summer of football, and the summer of the Olympic Games. And don't forget that this triumph in football was the key point also for the positive approach to the Olympic Games. Because until then, it was very negative atmosphere and approach for the coming Olympic Games. Scandals, discussions, why we'll be ready or not, what will be done, we cannot do it, a very small country. But at the time we were the champions of Europe, in the mentality of the Greek people was, oh, we can do everything. Let's go now to make the best Olympic Games in the history. And we did it. And we did it, and we did it very well. The bad thing is that we couldn't keep something positive after that.
Yep.
In football and in all sports. And this is the misery. This is very pity for us, for our friends, for our kids, for everyone, for the legacy.
You hit the nail on the head. You hit the nail on the head, and that's
after I was working very hard in this summer because I was working also for the preparation of the Olympic Games. And after the end of the Olympic Games and before the opening of the Paralympic Games in September, I had 1 week free, and I don't remember, in 1 week holidays out of Athens. And at that time was the first match of the national team against Albania, if you remember, and we lost.
We lost 2-1 or 2-0.
Yes, because sometimes in life it's more difficult to handle the success than the failure. It's easier to face the failure because you can make something against that, you take the lessons, learn something and make the best. But to handle the success, and especially in a very top level, was very difficult. And we've seen that after 2004, July 4th.
Well, actually,
other countries having, let's say, a better organization and tradition and education and the system in football, like Spain, they did it because Spain was failed during 2004, but then they started to create a new team and they were dominators in 2008, 2012, 2010. They did everything, and until now they are in the top level, as always, because this is the Spanish football. For Greece, it was a miracle of the moment, not a continuous story, not a story of evolution and progress and everything after that. We were remaining in the glory, and we lost everything, unfortunately.
It's amazing, actually. In everything that you just said, you managed to segue to the question and the topic that I wanted to ask you about, and then you answered my question, and then you answered my follow-up question, which is incredible. Because
but it's not an interview; it's a discussion.
No, absolutely.
The best kind of interview.
Absolutely. No, I think you, like I said before, you hit the nail on the head because, I mean, we're all of us, Costa, maybe to less of an extent, we all grew up abroad. We're incredibly, proud Greeks and Olympiakos fans. And, we reached the pinnacle, and it's, you use the word pity. It's pitiful. Like, if you look at where Greek football is now, and the question that I wanted to ask you was, why? And we don't need to go deep into it because that could be another podcast. But, you mentioned like tradition, education, like how the Spanish treat football, like the academies. And maybe if I could ask one question that's kind of on the same topic. it's about our academies in Greece. Why do you think it is that we're not able to produce attacking talent in particular in Greece? If you look at a lot of the big sales, the big export players that have come out of Greece the last 10 years, shall I say, is mainly defenders. And then you have a lot of foreign teams buying our players from our youth systems, and then they get a chance to play in the big leagues, and you see Greek clubs trying to bring them back. But once they're gone, they're gone. Why would they come back? So it's complicated. It's a complicated question, but
Yeah.
but and for Olympiakos as well, because we have that pressure to win every single game. Dinemoni, one manager of ours, called it in the past, and he got fired because he said that in an interview.
You're talking about Katanets.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, I understand what he was saying, but he said it in the wrong place, in the wrong context. What are your thoughts generally on like development of youth and prospects in Greece and how that's managed? If you have any, like, again, I understand it's a hard question.
No. There is something characterize the Greek mentality, and there is a Greek word unknown in other countries. The Greek word is ευελιξία, flexibility.
Flexibility, yeah.
There is in Greece, not in Germany or not in other countries. In all other countries, there is a word, but not in Greece. This is patience, υπομονή.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right.
Yeah, you can pretty much end there. Like,
It is that one right there, and we talked about this, Costa, when we met at the Karaiskaki. But I want this to go on record as well. I want the fans to hear that as well, because us journalists, like, we work whenever and wherever, really. And you said it yourself. Ert only had you there for 3 games, and you ended up being there for an entire month. Not just you, but pretty much every Greek journalist. And then you had the Olympic Games in August. So a lot of Greek journalists didn't have a holiday in that summer. How did that summer go for you? Did you have a holiday?
Me?
Yes.
he was in Portugal.
My contract with ERT was only on the commentating the games of Greek national team during that time, and for the qualification round until the end of the competition. And at the same time, I was working in the organizing committee of the Olympic Games. Honestly, I cannot explain that, but 1 year ago, 2003, I haven't gone even 1 day of, let's say, άδεια, διακοπές, holidays, because I would like to organize my work to be ready to go to Portugal. I would like to keep the days and spend the days in Portugal. I don't know why. Honestly, I don't know why. That was in the back of my mind. Maybe I thought that something good could happen. I was not a magician, and I couldn't imagine that Greece could win the championship. Προς Θεού. But during 2003 until the beginning of June 2004, no one holidays for me. No a day. Just to spend the days there. I was traveling before the games, and I was flying back after the match against Russia. Working 3 days in Athens, and then flew back to Lisbon for the match against France. And after the match against France, back to Athens. And then third time flight back to Porto for the match against Czech, and I was remaining till the end, flying from Porto to Lisbon. And immediately after the final whistle of the game, I went to a hotel roof somewhere close to the stadium Duluth, because there was a connection with a news program of ERT to say something, and then direct to the airport. And I was in Athens 6 o'clock in the morning.
Oh,
Monday morning, 6 o'clock, I was in Athens.
oh, Thelma.
Yeah. Even now, I can't believe how I did it.
Well, I was in Kifisia and we were almost flipping cars. That's how we celebrated the triumph. I was watching it in the Kifisia square with a big screen in the square, and it was insane. We were basically trying to flip cars, and we were shaking cars. It was something else. It was something else.
Have you gone the next day in Panathinaikon Stadium?
No. Like I said, I was 14 years old. My family were not a football-loving family, so I couldn't really hitch a ride to go there. I didn't go to Omonia, where it was insane all the time.
Yeah.
So it was quite a lonely time, but I still enjoyed it, and I still enjoy it every year.
Okay.
I
Good memories. You are so old. I feel a little jealous, but honestly, I wish you to live and maybe to commentate and maybe to write something and maybe to enjoy and to celebrate better times in the future.
Hopefully.
I don't think that my generation can do it again, but your generation is hoping to do it, and you can do it.
Thank you very much. It's very kind.
Yeah.
There's always hope. And
yes, of course. And I hope that the next generation will be better than our. The generation of my daughters, Gen Z, and all the others, maybe more or less than you. You can do it, of course. Better in everything.
That's always the hope.
Yes.
I mean, and on that hopeful note, I know that we've kept you for almost an hour already, or more than an hour. If I can keep you, if we can keep you for 2-3 minutes longer, going into interview format now from discussion, we normally end these discussions with some quick fire questions. So I'm going to ask you a question, and you can give me a one-line answer. They're quite clear questions. So the first question is, who's your favorite footballer of all time?
Greek or international?
Anyone. It can be anyone in the world. This is just to get to know you a bit better as a football fan, as a person. Like, first question is, who's your favorite footballer? Who's the guy that made you fall in love with football?
When I was very, very young, maybe younger than Lambros, and I was watching football in Premier League, and my favorite team at that time was
Leeds.
Yes.
Nice.
And my favorite player was Peter Lorimer.
Oh.
Yeah. Scottish guy. Yeah, with a very left boy. But of course, he was not the best in the world. He was in my youth, let's say, favorite player. After that, you cannot say something dedicated, because football is always changing.
Yeah.
Football of 70s, for example, 70 World Cup of 70s was the first I was watching in television. The majority of you, maybe all of you, you were not existing at that time, even in the mind of your parents, maybe. But believe me, it was a very nice tournament in 1970. And the top star was Pelé.
Yeah.
Yes, but in another football.
Mm-hmm.
Then every decade, football is transforming, is changing so much. Okay, we can discuss about Pelé. What we can say after that about Diego Maradona. I was very lucky to meet and interview him in Thessaloniki when he was coming with Napoli to play against PAOK, and I met him, and we have a very nice discussion on that. And then after Maradona was coming the time for me for a lot of Brazilian stars like Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, Rivaldo, and all top-level players. And then the entire era of Messi and Ronaldo.
Yeah.
And now we're going to another era.
Yep.
New stars are coming. But as the system and the tactical way of football is changing and transforming every day, it's very difficult to be a star, because the majority of the coaches are focusing in a tactical way. Sometimes in the past, if you remember, if you have heard, because you were, as I told you before, it was another time, about Catenaccio and Italian football.
Yeah.
And everybody was accusing Italian football and Catenaccio. Oh, what is this? There is no spectacle. We cannot enjoy. We cannot amuse. Oh, what is this? Now, the majority of the clubs are playing like that. They have 2 or 3 different levels. And maybe Barcelona or Guardiola team are with the tic-tac, and they change the ball and everything, and they are doing the 90% the ball, and they cannot do anything. It's completely different. But even now, you can watch players, as we remembering very well from the last final and Champions League, and the whole Real Madrid process from March until the end of May. What we can say about Karim Benzema or Luka Modric? Luka Modric, 36 years old, playing 100 minutes and making a tackling against everyone in the middle of the stadium. They are top level players. There are so many top level players. The only I can say is a very big and warm thank you for everything they offered to me. Yeah. Many players. But if we should try, let's say, to make the top of them, I could say about during the decades and passing the decades, Pelé, Maradona, Johan Cruyff, Messi, and Ronaldo.
Well, that's a fantastic answer. And it's funny you mentioned Leeds, because...
Which is your answer on that?
So it's funny that you mentioned Leeds, because the first kind of football tape that I watched, VHS, was a video of Eric Cantona.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the video was 60 minutes, and 55 minutes of it was of him playing for Leeds.
Yep.
So Cantona was for me the guy that, you know, made me fall in love with football, and then Giovanni at Olympiakos.
Yep. Yes.
So
Giovanni, amazing player.
So you talked about star players and the different kind of systems, and the fact that today, football's very different to what it was when Giovanni was playing. Giovanni is one of those players that he's a star and he doesn't fit into systems. And now it's all about the systems, the unit, the offensive transitions, the defensive transitions, and playing as a team. So it's a great answer. That's why it's a great answer that you gave, because there's one for a kind of each different era. But those are my favorites. Maybe Labro as well.
I'm going to expose myself, but actually Thierry Henry was my favorite player, along with actually Robin van Persie. I loved Robin van Persie growing up when he played for
young
Arsenal.
Generation.
Yeah, with Arsene Wenger. I love the football that Arsenal played those years, and even early 2010s, they played really nice. And then it all went downhill a bit. But yeah.
Now you have to become a Tottenham fan.
No.
Nope.
Never that.
No.
Never that.
Win something first.
Yeah, exactly. That'll be a while.
Let's see. Few more questions. I promise they're not football questions, because I know those are going to turn into discussions.
Yeah.
The next one. What's your favorite food? Favorite drink?
I'm a fan of Greek kitchen.
Greek cuisine. Lovely.
Yes. Especially,
you can't go wrong.
I was born in an island,
Oh, really?
and seafood is my favorite. And
Which island?
the name of the island is Sifnos.
Okay, I've been to Sifnos.
Sifnos, and if you read something about the Greek cookers and the history, the number one, the name was Nikos Tselemendes, and he was born in Sifnos.
I've been to his restaurants. Yeah.
Yeah, he was born in Sifnos, and so the local style of food in Sifnos is very familiar for me, and I like it very much. Drinking, I don't like Coca-Cola.
Okay, I like that
That's
answer.
all.
Don't like Coca-Cola. Fine.
Yeah.
Favorite holiday destination? And don't say Greece. You can't say Greece.
The area I haven't gone for holidays and I would like to go is Latin America. I have gone in Rio, but for professional reasons in 2016 for the Olympic Games and Paralympic Games in Rio. But my dream is to travel in several countries in Latin America, in South America. Argentina, Uruguay, Peru. I would like to travel there. Don't ask me why. I would like to travel there.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
As an experience.
Yeah.
Great. I had one last question. You can say no to answering it because it might open up another one. But favorite team? What's your favorite team besides Olympiakos and besides Nottingham Forest? Favorite team?
All over the world?
Yeah.
Clubs or national teams?
Club.
Both.
Both.
Both. Dexter, both.
As I told you before, my favorite team was Leeds United.
Yeah.
And it's a story behind that because I was becoming fan on Leeds after the final in Thessaloniki. Leeds against Milan.
Which they
Leeds
lost.
United. Huh?
That was Don Revie era, wasn't it? Yeah, Don Revie era.
They lost 1-0. But they lost 1-0 because of the horrible referee I ever seen in my life. And he was a Greek one.
Oh.
Yes.
I don't know that.
Yes. If you Google, you can see that.
Okay.
No time to say the names. At the end of this match, and I don't remember something similar in the football history, they did the triumph round in the stadium, but not the AC Milan winners, the Leeds players. Because the crowd, all the stadium was cheering for them. Not because they were all fans of Leeds United, but because of the referee style. At that time was Leeds United. After that, sometimes I like many clubs playing nice football. I was fan of Ajax during previous decades when they did excellent generation and huge production of talented players. From the country style, I was a lover of Brazilian football during 70s and then. Now it's crazy, and some friends tell me, "What are you doing now?" But I like the majority of Spanish teams. I'm hearing so many, let's say, fights, discussions between Barcelona, Real, Atletico, and all these clubs, but I like all of them.
Yeah.
Yes. The style, different style of Real Madrid, of Barcelona, of Atletico, but I like them.
Excellent.
Yeah, I would also say I like Bilbao, how that style of we're just going to play with players, I think, of our region, and they've been successful in doing it. It's
I
incredible.
fully agree with you, and especially this season where Ernesto Valverde is coming back to Bilbao, one of the best and the most important personalities I've met in football stadiums all around.
Yeah.
Not
and
only
we've
as a
been
coach, as a human being. Ernesto was amazing and is amazing. And I would like to tell him good luck being back again in his lovely Bilbao team.
Indeed.
it's going to be exciting to follow
Yeah,
to see what he does, because they have
yeah,
a lot of exciting players as well. So let's see.
I mean,
yeah. Which is your favorite team, Costa?
me or Costa with a K?
Both of you.
Both of us.
Costa, do you want to go first?
My favorite team. You said you love the Spanish teams. I love the English teams. Obviously,
Okay.
I'm a little biased because I've spent 10 years in England watching. Basically, English teams are like there's one of my favorite movies is Casino, and one of the characters is Joe Pesci, who plays a character called Nicky Santoro. And when Robert De Niro introduces him, he says Nicky was the kind of guy that if you beat him with your fist, he comes back with a bat. If you beat him with a bat, he comes back with a knife. If you beat him with a knife, he comes back with a gun. If you beat him with a gun, you got to make sure he's dead. That's what English teams are. They're like Nicky Santoro. You cannot beat them. And if you beat them, you got to make sure they're not breathing anymore. That's why I love them, because you think you have them down for the count and they're not. Like Barcelona found that out at Anfield when they were ahead 3-0. They went there and Liverpool made it easy, actually. They didn't have Mohamed Salah with them. So I love the English teams because they're just unbeatable.
Yeah.
They're just, they never give up. They are so tenacious.
I agree with you. No doubt on that. But it's personal decision.
Of course.
For me, it won't come as
What are you thinking when you are doing that?
it won't come as it won't come as much of a surprise to you, perhaps. But for me, growing up, Manchester United, with that team, just with the kids that came out of the academy, Giggs, Beckham, Scholes,
Yes.
even Nicky Butt, Gary Neville, Phil Neville, and then adding a piece like Cantona into that team, it changed the history of English football, essentially. So for me, it was Man United. And then, like I said earlier before, jokingly, I was winning too much. And if you weren't from Manchester and you're from London and you supported Man United, everyone called you a glory hunter. So
Okay.
some of my mates supported Tottenham, and Tottenham had some good players like David Ginola, Teddy Sheringham, Robbie Keane. There were some like flair players that played for Tottenham, and I enjoyed that style of football. And then Barcelona, the team with Ed Milson playing defensive midfield and Xavi Iniesta in front, Ronaldinho on the wing, and Messi was kind of breaking through. I think the year after that team with Eto'o up front as well. I really like that team. And today I enjoy watching Liverpool. I really enjoy the high press and just the relentless attacking. And of course, whenever Tsimikas plays, it makes it even more enjoyable to watch Liverpool play nowadays.
Yeah.
and I'm gonna maybe sour it at the end, but I'm not enjoying Olympiakos right now. But I hope that changes. We need to be patient, and we are very patient. So let's see for the qualifiers, and it's going to be an interesting year. We hope for the best.
Yeah, the team will be ready in 20th of July.
Yeah. We're excited to see how it is, but I guess I'll give away my favorite teams. Football is a spectacle. I love football, and as you guys mostly know, my mom's Dutch. She's from Amsterdam, so I was a bit raised on the Ajax school of football. So I've been to the stadium a few times in Amsterdam, and I just love how the Dutch feel. We come to the stadium to enjoy it and watch something good, and Ajax has this mentality: we're going to bring our own kids and we're going to play amazing football. So I love Ajax, and also the Arsenal teams under Arsene Wenger. It was always, what, we may get killed, but we're going to try and play football, and we're going to try to play nice, and I appreciate that. So those are
taking point from your answer, and going back to another question you did before about academies. and Greek football and how they are doing. I think the number one point for the Greeks, if they decide to create and develop academies, it should to go in Amsterdam, watching how Ajax operating the system, and then try to copy and do it in Greece.
Yeah.
For
But
me,
also,
is the number
yeah.
one model of academies all over the world.
Yeah.
And not now, from 70s.
Yeah. It's always been like that. And I remember when I was younger, you could open a Dutch newspaper and they would be signing a player from Latin America. And the newspaper wouldn't say, oh, this exciting player. It said, why are we signing this guy? You know, like we have blah, 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 this 19, 20-year-old. They're kind of like, it's more so like, who is this guy? Is he even good enough? Like, he better be worth it because we're blocking blah, blah, blah's path to become a star. It's completely different than our reality, but it's different mentality.
Yep. But football is football. We love it. We like it. And ready for another very interesting season.
Yes.
Not only because of the club we like and we support, but also because we have World Cup in front of us.
Yeah.
Very, let's say, strange World Cup in November and December. And let's try how we'll run all the season for all clubs, national and clubs in all countries and competitions. It's very strange, and I'm very, very keen to see what will be done at the end, because it's different, let's say, training approach at summertime, another training time maybe during November and December for players not participating in the World Cup. How will be the players participating in the World Cup after that? And how will be the top level teams after January?
Yeah,
it's a very, very interesting to see that for the first time in history of football.
Yeah,
Having a World Cup in the middle of competitions.
true.
Mr. Vernikos, thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts for taking the time. We're recording this now. It's 11 o'clock my time and it's midnight Greek time. So really, really grateful for your time. You are you are the voice, not only the voice of Euro 2004, and this is the first opportunity that I personally have had to speak with you. It's a real honor, and thank you so much for your answers, the discussions that we had, and I love the way that you are so diplomatic in everything that you do, but also very clear. You don't avoid the questions. So σας ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ. Ήταν μεγάλη μας τιμή που μας κάνατε. Να είστε καλά.
Thank you so much, Costa.
Όταν σε άλλες εποχές που η δημοσιογραφία ήταν ακόμα σε διαφορετικό επίπεδο, γιατί και αυτή αλλάζει, όπως αλλάζει και το ποδόσφαιρο και όλα, οι δάσκαλοι μου, που τότε δεν ήταν πανεπιστήμιο, αλλά ήταν στο χώρο της δουλειάς, μου έμαθαν ένα πράγμα. Δεν υπάρχουν κακές ή δύσκολες ερωτήσεις, παρά μόνο κακές ή δύσκολες απαντήσεις. Όλες οι ερωτήσεις είναι αποδεκτές. Όλες, ανεξαιρέτως. Ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ. Να είστε καλά και να περάσουμε όμορφο καλοκαίρι. Δεν ξέρω αν έχετε κάνει διακοπές, να τις κάνετε και να τις ευχαριστηθείτε.
Επίσης, ευχαριστούμε πάρα πολύ.
Καλές διακοπές. Καλό καλοκαίρι.
Καλοκαίρι στα γήπεδα.
Ελπίζω κάποια στιγμή να καταφέρουμε να τα πούμε και από κοντά σε έναν αγώνα, άμα τα καταφέρουμε φέτος, με μεγάλη μας τιμή και μεγάλη χαρά.
Σας περιμένω οποιαδήποτε στιγμή θέλετε.
Τέλεια.
Να είστε καλά, ευχαριστούμε, καλό βράδυ.
Γεια σας, καλό βράδυ.
Γεια σας. What a nice guy, man.
Lovely guy.
Should we cut the broadcast real quick, though? It's still going. Yeah, okay. I'll cut it. I don't know when we're going to cut it, like editing. Should I say? And thank you all for watching. It's been the Gate 7 International Podcast. We hope you like this. Όπου πας εσύ θα με πάρεις.